Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to our weekly shir on the Parsha. Thank you very much to Raya and Mordechai. And today we've got a very interesting Parsha. We're just about to conclude Sefer Shmos, Exodus, leaving Egypt, receiving the Torah, crossing the Red Sea. Very interesting Chumash. And we are concluding this Chumash with the tzivui, with the command that Hashem gives us to build the Mishkan, to contribute towards the building of the Mishkan. And it's interesting because our parsha doesn't directly start with building the Mishkan. There are 3 or 4 psukim before that talk about a different topic, a different subject. The parsha is called Vayakhel. Moshe gathers together the Jewish people after the sin of the golden calf, after he returns from heaven, from the 40 days praying to Hashem, once again receiving the second pair of tablets. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and he gathers the Jewish people and he tells them that we've got to build the Mishkan. But before that, he tells them something very interesting about the obligation, the mitzvah of Shabbos, keeping Shabbos. And here, there's something interesting because it says, Lo tevaru esh b'chol moshvotechem b'yom HaShabbat. That is the pasuk. We know there are 39 melachot that we are not allowed to do. Those are the general melachot that we are not allowed to do, and there are other details. But you know what melachat says, Aaron, is not tevaru esh. That is the only melachat it says. All the other 38 melachas, we heard that from one rabbi to another. That also comes from Moshe Rabbeinu and from Mount Sinai, but it was given over by heart. It does not mention it in the Torah itself. The only melacha is not to make fire. And here there's a question that many people ask. And the question is very important because it will explain to us a bit about the essence of the Shabbos, the metaphor and the idea that Hashem gave us the Shabbos. What is the idea behind Shabbos? One day out of the entire week where we do not do anything that has to do with a melacha. We do not work. We do not create things. We are not allowed to water our garden. We are not many other things that we did in the Mishkan. We are not allowed to do during Shabbos. And the question is, let's talk about this melacha of making fire, right? So today, am I allowed to switch on the light? So obviously not. You're not allowed to switch on the light. You're not allowed to drive your car. You're not allowed to light your car. You're not allowed to light a match. You're not allowed to light with a lighter. You're not allowed to create fire. But why? If the whole purpose of Shabbos, and let's assume that that is our understanding of the obligation of Shabbos, the obligation is not to use our energy, not to work hard. And that's why it says in the Torah, Lo tevaru esh, you shall not make a fire, because in those days it was very hard to make a fire. The question is the follows, right? We talked about Shabbos and the obligation is to rest during Shabbos. And when we rest during Shabbos, so today we could also light a fire, and that doesn't need any effort. So why are we not allowed to turn on the lights, right? Why are we not allowed to turn on the computer? Today it's very easy. In those days, you know how hard it was to make a fire? You needed to take 2 rocks together, and until you had the spark, just the spark, you had to have also something that would light easily. In other words, what is Shabbos today? That's the question. What is Shabbos today? Throughout the generations, Shabbos meant literally resting, right? People used to work so hard. They used to plow the fields. They used to water their gardens. And that was the only way that they could actually eat. That's the way that they could live. They had no other choice. But today, when for us, the idea of Shabbos, the idea of the way that we live today is that you go to the supermarket and you buy your bread. So why is that a problem today if all we need is, if all the point of Shabbos is just resting? You know what? Sometimes you can fall out on this Shabbos where it's very hot and you forgot to put on the air conditioning. And that disturbs your rest. However, you are not allowed to turn on the air conditioning. And that applies to lights, to the stove, etc. All of those ideas. So let's talk a bit about this idea. Now, the first answer that the Rebbe gives is a very interesting answer, and that's the true answer. The answer is that for Hashem, creating the world was also easy. And nevertheless, he calls the seventh day Shabbos, that we rest, that he rests, and as a result, we rest too. And the same way that Hashem did not work hard, but he still rests on that day and he did not create anything else. That's why even if it's easy for us, we also are obligated to rest on that day, because it has nothing to do with how hard we work or not. Because for Hashem creating the world, we cannot say there was a hard, very hard job for him. He said it, Vayehi or. He said that there should be light, and there was light. So it was very easy for him, but nevertheless, he rested on the seventh day. So that also is the case with us, right? It might be easy for us to light fire, but nevertheless, we still rest from lighting fire, the same as Hashem rested. But I would like to talk about another way to explain this. And this is a bit about the idea behind Shabbos. What is Shabbos? Shabbos teaches us that although throughout the week we work and we are obligated to work, in other words, we are fixing the world throughout the week. We are creating the world once again throughout the week. And it says it, Hashem says it at the end of his creation, at the end of the story, in the beginning of Bereshis. Hashem says, Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzvam. It's all done. The shamayim, the eretz, it's all ready and prepared. Asher bara Elokim la'asos. Hashem created it to do. What does it mean? He created it to do. It's already done. So Rashi says on the spot, he says that Hashem created the world for us to fix, because we also have a part in the creation. And we fix the world when we go out to work. We make sure that the world continues its cycle, the nature, and being able to bring a new generation to the world, to support that generation, to feed that generation, and to take care of the society around us and the globe around us. And that's why today people are so aware to the idea of keeping our globe, the only globe that we have, keeping it in shape, because we have a mission to make sure that the world continues on the way Hashem created it. So we have this feeling that we are creators, right? Every day when we wake up in the morning, we go to work, and whatever achievements we achieve at work, if it's at work, if it's at home, if it's by learning, if it's by teaching, if it's by whatever you would do, even just enjoying the world, you feel part of the creation of the world. You feel in a certain way a creator. That's where Hashem tells us one day, hold on, wait a second. Don't forget that I am the creator of the world, and you are here only to fix the world. But don't forget and don't make a mistake and think that you are the one to create the world and I'm just in the second place. And this could happen to people. Sometimes people in certain positions where they work very, very hard and everything is controlled in their hands. They feel that they are in full control. And therefore, in a certain way, they might look at themselves as if they are creators. That's why Hashem tells us, you know what? Once a week, don't do anything. Don't go to work. Don't create anything. Don't do something new. Don't build something new. Don't even turn on a light. Because when you're turning on a light, you are basically bringing out the idea that the humans, in a certain way, create something. So, of course, we improve what we have here. We use what Hashem gave us in this world in order to make the world a better place and a convenient place. But nevertheless, Hashem is telling us one day in the week, you must remember that after all, I am the one that creates the world consistently. And the fact that you are able to achieve such achievements is because that I give you the power to do that. So now it doesn't matter how hard or how easy it might be to do these malachas, such as making a fire, such as turning on the light, the computer, such as just going down to a store and buying a loaf of bread or a challah. It could be very, very easy, but it doesn't change the fact that Hashem wants us to acknowledge that He is the creator of the world. And we have these 6 days to improve the world with Hashem's powers that He gave us. But we are not instead of Him. And when we don't have this Shabbos, when we don't have this day in the week where we memorize Hashem as the creator, so we might think that it is our power. That when we have a blessing in our business or in whatever we might do, we might forget that it comes from Hashem. Birkas Hashem hitashu, the blessing of Hashem is the one that makes us rich. We only make a vessel. We make a kli for Hashem's blessing. This reminds me of a story by, actually the Rebbe Maharash was the 4th Rebbe of Chabad. And there was one Baal Asik, one Chassid that had a store where he sold shoes. And in those days, they didn't import the shoes from China. They used to also make the shoes there at the store. And the Chassid enters the Rebbe Maharash and he tells the Rebbe Maharash, I'm having struggles. I don't know what to do. No customers. It's very hard to find leather. Leather costs a lot. It's hard for me to fix the shoes. So the Rebbe Maharash told him. The Rebbe Maharash told him, I've seen feet in shoes, but I've never seen a head in a shoe. It's a very interesting answer. What does this answer mean? What the Rebbe Rasha basically told him is that when you have a certain business, when you're doing something, don't put all your head inside it. Your feet should be inside it. Your hands could be inside it, because technically you need to do what you need to do in order to make those shoes. But putting your head inside, putting all of yourself into that business without breathing a bit, without staying a bit above, a bit connected, without acknowledging that it's all, after all, it all comes from Hashem, that could be a problem. And that is the answer of the Rebbe Maharash. What the Rebbe Maharash told that Chassid is that you can put your feet in the shoes, you can even put your hands in the shoes in order to make them, but your head should always be above. It's known throughout the generations, Hasidim always used to involve, they used to do something and they used to work also, right? They did not, it's not that they said, we're not going to work. Working is something possible, something that's forbidden. No, it's very important. There's a Chassid that used to be an accountant. When he came to summarize and to sum up the final, whatever it was, report. So you've got to write at the end, equals, right? What's the bottom line? let's say, the revenue versus the expenses. And what he wrote, Sach HaKol equals Ein Oid Milvadoi. He made a mistake. Instead of saying it equals whatever, 1,000, 2,000, he said it equals that there's nothing besides Hashem. Because that's the mindset of a chassid. That chassid knew that when he goes to work, that's a side job, basically. But what his permanent job is, what his main focus is, and his main job is connecting to Hashem, learning Chassidus, and remembering that Ein Oid Milvado, there's no one that exists besides Hashem. And that's the true approach that we should have, and that the Chassidim throughout the generations have. Not to have our heads in the shoes. Only what technically you need, that is important. And it's in our Parsha. Our Parsha says, Sheishes Yamim Te'ase Melacha. 6 days, the work should be done. It does not say you should do work for 6 days. It says it should be done. What does that mean? What does it mean that 6 days the work should be done? Who's going to do it? How would it be done? The truth is that Sheishes Yamim Te'ase Melacha, 6 days that you should do work. The idea is that don't be in it 100%. Te'ase Melacha, it should be done. Of course, you're the one that's going to do it. But don't take it as a priority that you in it 100%. You should leave a bit of a neshima, right? Something to breathe, a bit of holy air, connection to Hashem, a bit of davening, a bit of learning. And that's why the Torah tells us you should work, but you should kreveya itim la Torah, davening in the morning, learning a bit in the morning, learning in the evening, davening in the evening. Mincha is one of the most special and most important davenings, because mincha is the prayer that is in the middle of the day. And when someone in the middle of the day leaves his job, leaves his work, and he goes to pray to Hashem, that shows that he's truly connected. He doesn't look as his work as the matara. How do we say matara? As the goal. The goal is not the work. The work is only a tool to serve Hashem in the world. That is the idea behind. That's the idea behind our parsha. Behind Sheishes Yamim Te'ase Melacha, doesn't say Te'ase Melacha. It says Te'ase Melacha. It shall be done automatically, kind of. Of course, someone's got to do it, otherwise it's not going to work. But the idea is that we that we're not in it with our heads with everything. So that's actually a bit about the Shabbos, about the idea behind Shabbos. What is Shabbos? Shabbos is acknowledging that Hashem is the one in charge of the world, and we are here just to upgrade the world, just to fix the world, to make it a better place, a more convenient place, and to keep it. That's, of course, it's very important. This is the creation of Hashem. We've got to take care of the creation of Hashem. So this is the idea behind the Hasidim also, that used to, the main focus was serving Hashem. What is the way to serve Hashem? Yes, sometimes you've got to work to serve Hashem. That's also a way. Then we talk about in our Parsha. The Parsha continues and tells us about the Mishkan. Now, the Mishkan is something very special. The Mishkan is very special not only because it's a place where Hashem rested, but the Mishkan fixed a terrible sin that the Jewish people did. Right after Matan Torah, Am Yisrael made a calculation. They calculated and they saw that Moshe Rabbeinu did not appear. He was gone for 40 days, but he did not come back. So they decided to do the golden calf, a big, big sin. And Hashem was about to wipe all of us out. And what happened was that Moshe Rabbeinu went and he begged for forgiveness, and Hashem forgave us. But that's not enough. Right after that, we read it in our Parsha in Kisisa, in the last Parsha. Right after that, Moshe Rabbeinu comes and he tells us, you know what? We have to improve the situation. We've got to change it. We've got to bring Hashem back to our lives, back to the world. How do we do that? With the Mishkan. The Mishkan is a sign that Hashem truly forgives us. And that it's also a sign that we want him here. It's both directions. We want Hashem to rest here. We do not want any kind of gold. If it's a golden calf, a golden cow, we do not want them at all. We want Hashem to rest here in the world. And this is why we say, while we bring donations to the Mishkan. And this is our Parsha. Vayakel Moshe, Moshe gathers them and he tells them it's time to bring a donation. Now, Moshe spoke about the donation before. If you remember, 3 Parshios ago, Parshas Truma, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Am Yisrael, yes, we're going to build a Mishkan. And there you are obligated to bring a donation. Each one needed to bring a certain amount of Bekal HaGulgolet, which is a certain amount of silver and of copper that they were obligated to bring. Our Parsha doesn't talk about obligations. Our Parsha talks about the Zchus, Kol Nediv Liboye V'eha. That is the expression. If your heart brings you and causes you to want to donate to Hashem, then you should donate. There was no obligations. And we know that there were the Nesiim, the heads of the tribes of Am Yisrael. They did not bring, they said, you know what, we're going to wait. We're going to see whatever's left over, then we'll contribute. At the last moment, right, it's like a charity that they say, we've got 1 more hour and we need another 50,000. So the Nesiim, the heads of the tribes thought, you know what, we'll wait to the end of the charity and then we'll put down the last 50,000. They were mistaken big time. Am Yisrael were so much into bringing these donations that they didn't leave any space for anyone else to bring donations. They brought the full amount. Moshe Rabbeinu needed to tell them it's enough, don't bring any more. This is what's so special about our Parsha. And this is this concludes Sefer Shmos, and this could teach us maybe a bit about the quality, the true quality of Am Yisrael. That Am Yisrael, in its heart, really kol nediv liboye v'eha, truly wants to donate to the Mishkan of Hashem, in the way where Hashem does not want any more donations because it's enough. We've got more than enough for the Mishkan. And the Nesiim, the heads of the tribes, did not have the opportunity to contribute. They needed to make it up later. We'll read afterwards in Parshas Pinchas, if I'm not mistaken. But this shows us about Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael truly wanted Hashem here in this world. They wanted to build the best Mishkan. And more than that, we spoke previously about the power of Nishei Yisrael, the woman in Am Yisrael. Bizchus Nashim Tzidkaniyos Nigalu Avoseinu Mitzrayim. The righteous women were the ones that basically caused our redemption. And they were the ones that in their zchus, in their merit, Am Yisrael was able to leave Egypt. And we can see it in our Parsha, because our Parsha says that the women were dedicated to sewing special materials for the Mishkan. They were the ones to sew the areas, to sew the material for the Mishkan, and it was a special malacha. It was something very unique, very special. So that shows us about the true qualities of Am Yisrael. Thank you very much for taking part in this shir, and have a wonderful week.